Just over there, so you want to buy the side bar there? Right. Buy the side bar. He goes to the end. He does that sense of it. There you go. Have you heard that? Something down got a pretty good 100 well, like 30. So many different we will return to the micro or when
the highlight of the day is when the chairman turns up. Now residents, please don't get them all ready. We can just line up for the hour of 2 o'clock. Just while we get the music ready. Ready? You're not ready yet, no? No, we're not ready. We'll make Mr. Tools as well for the Grand Parade. Sergeant Gergen's there, get them into line, together with our chairman, young Mr. Goddard, walking across the front there, keep them all in order. Right.
good afternoon everyone, and welcome to what we believe to be the 59th County of Salop Steam Rally here at Onslow Park in Shrewsbury. It's great to see so many people around the arena, and if you are at any stage wanting to see the Grand Parade, this is your time. Do come and see this absolutely fantastic spectacle of steam, something that is never anywhere else rivaled in the UK. There are dozens of rallies around England every weekend of the summer, but you will see nothing quite like you do at Shrewsbury Steam Rally. And so we introduce to you this afternoon the Grand Parade of Steam Engines. This cavalcade of steam's great might presents to us a wondrous sight of engines now resplendent made from years of harbouring in the shade. They came from yard and field or wood, and in their twilight silent stood. With rusting motion and boiler cold, it was for scrap that they were sold. Then in the summer's sweltering scorch, their end it was the burner's torch. But some from this grim fate were taken, the slumbering giants gently awaken. With lavished care from owners new, they are but now the chosen few that represent a lost great power, which we represent to you this hour. For these are the engines of an era long past, built by the men whose skills were to last. They made them strong to give of their best. In aging years they do not rest. They still drive on with fiery soul and beating heart that scorns control. With burnished limbs of shimmering steel and throb and pulse of circling wheel, with shining paint and polished brass, all other machines they did surpass. But for all this grace and beauty, they were made for man's duty. Hauling with ease the team's former loads, up and down the country's roads. Others were the sons of soil, from ploughing to threshing they eased the toil. Then came the showman, with engines so grand, each thought his the best in the land. Yet with brass and electric light, there came the strength to move the sight. This was part of their calling to man. But what of the homes where they began? Charles Borrell of Thetford, the true Norfolk breed, whilst Ransoms and Garretts were Suffolk seed. Next came Lincoln, its four famous sons of Roby, Clayton, Foster and Rustons. Marshalls of Gainsborough in that same shire, they made engines for all to admire. Then in Cheshire, the land of salt, Fodens were built with never a fault. But with pride, the county of Salop made their sentinels go with a gallop. Further north, in the city of Leeds, Fowler and McLaren's sufficed the needs. From the Garden of England, a prancing horse, Aveling and Porter ran the course. Wallace and Stevens with sprightly 5-ton, Taskers nearby would give it a run. These are a few of the famous breeds, all were working the purpose of man's needs. And now to you this hour we bring these engines for their praise to sing. With shrieking whistle and vapour cloud, their aim is now to please the crowd. So let us salute these machines from the past, built by the men whose skill was to last. They made them strong to give of their best. In aging years, they do not rest. Well, folks, we see a truly immense and wondrous selection of steam engines coming into the arena this afternoon. We have over 90 engines arranged in this field coming in as we speak. We have until 2:45 to show them to you, and we don't have time to talk about them all. But if we were looking at the story of the steam engine, we begin back in the 18th century, where steam-powered steam engines were made of such a size that you would have to build them in a house to fit their massive size. But our man in Cornwall, Richard Trevithick, produced an engine called the high-pressure engine, where he created high-pressure, strong steam, which terrified Abraham Darby and said, go away and do something else. So Richard Trevithick took his new technology of strong steam to South Wales, and he created not only the first railway engine, the first steam locomotive to run on rails, but he made road carriages. And from Trevithick's road carriage of 1801, the puffing devil of 1803, which terrified the streets of Camborne and made sure that 200 years later, Trevithick Day is now an event in the Cornish calendar. Richard Trevithick, miniaturising steam power and making it accessible, laid the seeds for steam power as you see it around this arena today, with the exception of the Greens motor roller passing the commentary box now. But throughout the 19th century, steam was harnessed and made mobile and compacted, and as the roads improved, these engines became commonplace not only on farm and field, but on the highways. Steam haulage, steam sawing, steam thrashing, steam contracting. If you couldn't afford to buy an engine, then you paid somebody who already had one or had a fleet of engines. And with that, the roads to get better, and portable steam engines were made into self-moving engines, which then led towards the creation of the steamroller. The steamroller improved the road network, and we have examples of all of these. But as I say, the progenitor of it is perhaps the portable engine, and unfortunately, portable engines, they are not self-moving, so they have to sit out the Grand Parade. But there are two on the engine line: Little Ruston from the Bradbury family, and Davy Paxley from the Allisons and Sue Ogden. And those engines were towed around by horses, heavy horses, as we saw this morning, and eventually only took a length of time before they were able to move themselves. Initially steered by, again, a team of horses in front, and then latterly the steering themselves added, and that led on the traction engine, the steam wagon, and eventually the steam tractor, because as the laws changed, these engines no longer had to have a man preceding them with a red flag, and they were able to be made smaller, more compact, and they could be faster as well. No longer needing the man with the red flag. The repealing of the Red Flag Act meant not only the growth of the motor car, but the light steam tractor and the steam lorry. You'll also see steam ploughing engines with the drum underneath the boiler, which enabled them to pull the plough between them across either side of a field. You can't really directly plough a field with a heavy steam engine, so they winched the plough backwards and forwards between them. And you can see in our working field examples of steam cultivation. And the steam lorry grew from those motor tractors. The motor tractors, the steam tractors, could tow a trailer behind them, but actually, if you can make the thing carry its own payload, then that's far more acceptable and far more easily manoeuvrable. And so Foden's and Sentinel made the market. Their own other manufacturers did make wagons, but you see the majority of them on the field today is Foden and Sentinel. Sentinel main down the road, and Sentinel steam wagons were spelt with 2 G's, Wagagoon. And it's always a good show of Sentinels this year, every year at Shrewsbury Rally. Unfortunately, legislation put the majority of steam wagons and steam lorries off the road. In the 1930s, there was a thing called the Salter Report, which brought in a lot of punitive legislation. And you see, the engines that you see are very fortunate to survive. Other examples of the road engine, you saw leading the parade this afternoon, the Showman's road locomotive. Now, the Showman's engine not only pulled the rides between the fairs, but it has an electric dynamo fitted to the front of it, which enabled it to provide the electricity for lighting the fair and providing power for those new rides which were driven by electric motors. So the Showman's engine is a mobile generator. But that's reducing them to quite a menial level, really. At the end of the day, these are all pieces of machinery and pieces of plant. We go quite gooey about them, we get nostalgic about them, but at the end of the day, they were machines built to do a job. And whilst they're all steam powered, they're all steam engines, they have very many different facets. So even the steamrollers, there are different examples, different layouts of cylinder, different weights, different purposes. And so what I'm going to do this afternoon, with so many engines to talk about, is I'm actually going to walk around the outside of the arena, because here I'm sitting in the commentary box. I can't see what engines there are on the other side of the arena, so I'm going to walk around each side of the arena and describe what we're looking at, and occasionally point out other ones in the middle that we may or may not be aware of, and hopefully then we can all start to have a look and see the different types of machine and the different purposes that they were built for, and do have a chat with their owners and their crews. Each of these engines has a story to tell. Each of their owners and drivers have stories to tell. Very human stories of family, of sacrifice, of near bankruptcy sometimes, and above all camaraderie and friendship, because it's an amazing hobby that we have in the steam world. An example it can transcend for decades. Mike Salt, whose little roller pepper pot is in the arena, that's the engine with the slopey boiler at 45-degree angle. Pepper pot, Mike has now owned that engine for 50 years. He has brought it to every Shrewsbury rally bar a couple, and he appeared in 1973 at the Bishop's Castle rally. It's called Pepper Pot because that's a pun on his name, Mike Salt. It came to him via Cyril Wilde of Dorrington, and Wilde's plant hire, but it's an engine that started its life in Cumbria, and it's just another example. Mike's family have known that engine throughout their lives, and we've enjoyed his friendship and exhibiting of it throughout the years here at Onslow, and before that at at Bishop's Castle, before that, and Walcott Park. But I'm going to take the radio mic, and don't worry, Mr. Cooper, I'm not going to come and talk to you personally, but I am going to take a walk around so that we can describe what we're seeing a little bit more fully, because I've now got a big Fowler Road engine from my neck of the woods in County Durham sitting in front of me, and Brian, whilst I love you very much, I'm going to go and talk about somebody else for a bit.
Thank you, Anthony. Am I on? I'm on.
So if we start outside the commentary point, then perhaps it's quite appropriate that the first engine I come to is Panther. Panther is a Wallace and Stevens of Basingstoke agricultural engine, which means that it's an engine made for farm work. It's got a big flywheel on it, and it can not only pull wagons and trailers, but it can drive a saw bench, it can drive a crusher, it can drive a thrashing machine from that. It's owned by the Shadbolt family, who appear to have deserted it at the moment. Oh, there's Joe. But it started its working life in Essex. But it's a very classic, beautifully presented Wallace and Stevens agricultural engine. I'm just going to pass my friend here with his greens roller. We will try and work out earlier how to fit a diesel roller into any of the parades. Would it fit with the tractors? Would it fit with the steam engines? And we said, well, actually, yes, it would. And what you have between myself, where the diesel roller is the light green roller, and the steam roller in front of me, is a really good example of how technology was transferred. So we start with the steam roller, which belongs to Mr. Ian Cooper, who's hiding on the other side because he doesn't want to talk to me, and he's frightened I'll talk to him. But then a diesel road roller from the 1950s, and you can see, apart from the technology of the diesel engine and the steam engine, the layout is exactly the same. It's a little bit smaller, but actually these type of machines would have worked alongside each other. That's very much smaller for patching. This would have been working on heavier road compacting and all that. And you'll see a lot of the engines are beautifully shiny and very well polished. Ian Cooper presents this engine when it worked for Staffordshire County Council until the 1960s, very much as a working engine would have been. It's clean, the brass is polished, but it's not absolutely immaculate with shiny paintwork, etc. But it goes everywhere on the road. Ian keeps it not far from here, but he drives everywhere on the road with it. And another engine that drives everywhere on the road, and my niece Nerys is waving and saying hello. This belongs to my brother-in-law, Mr. Hayes Jones of Market Drayton, and this is a steam tractor, a Marshall steam tractor. It's painted blue, which is a bit different, but that was one of Marshall's factory colours. And this, in essence, is the equivalent of a steam Ford Transit van. Other types of vehicles are available, but this engine would have been used for haulage of removal vans, of timber, all sorts. It's fitted with a winch, so it's able to pull things around. The challenges of fuel for engines these days, and that is no exception. In between, you can see a Foden steam lorry there, and alongside a very large and very beautiful Fowler road locomotive. So we talked about light haulage with the steam tractor. We can talk about fast light haulage with the steam lorry, but the Fowler road locomotive of Alex Sharphouse, which is a rebuild of a very famous engine called Talisman, that would have pulled the heaviest loads, locomotives, boilers, girders, and all. And again, a stalwart of our show, worked in a boiler works in Wolverhampton, and is presented in the crane form. It's quite nice, really, the crane lamp, the crane engine. And if you're into these things, the engine still has a digital copper firebox. It's really quite a feat to see something without a crane on the So folks, I'm halfway around the arena, just to warn you, if you have dogs or children or have slight sensory needs yourself.
Excuse me,
we're about to...
We need to call first aid for something that's fainted.
Okay.
By the gallopers in the fairground. First aid men, Red Cross or whatever you are. Could you proceed to the funds there and buy the gallopers? The lady has just fainted. Okay? Thank you. I'll remind you again in a minute, or somebody come and tell me that it's all sorted. Thank you. Carry on.
Thank you, David. So if anybody has any sensory challenges or needs, or dogs or anything, do about to let the rest of the Shropshire know that we're here. So I think there's parking the engine up, and Edward will make sure that we're ready. So folks on the engines, if you're ready then to let Shropshire know exactly what 90 engines in a field sounds like. The count of 3, if you're ready with whistles please. 1, 2, 3. I'm very tempted to say, what else did you have for Christmas? Well, there you are, ladies and gents. I don't know about that in Shrewsbury and Shropshire, no. I reckon they heard that in Dudley. And perhaps the guys in Wolverhampton. But that steam siren is the sound I grew up to, of that engine echoing round the ring road in Birmingham, at the old Birmingham Science Museum. It's an amazing thing to hear.
Why is it not producing much smoke?
It's clean coal. It will produce some smoke, but it gives you that visible black focus. Beautiful. Yeah, very, very hot, but it's good.
You see their road locomotives signalling to each other through the use of the whistle. Are they ready to go? And the whistle codes will enable them to understand and work together as a team. Not just the regulators, but the braking as well. Very important when you've got such a heavy load trying to push you down the hill. Foster tractor showing its versatility and manoeuvrability by cutting across the arena. Very short engine with quite a tight turning circle. Bear in mind this is doing the work of a transit van, so it's got to be able to get to all sorts of places and not just be manoeuvrable but do it quickly. There's Tom with the Foden doing the same. And then followed by the masses with the Sentinel. These Sentinels were designed to try and see off the competition from the diesel lorries, and were it not for legislation, may well have done so, because they're very fast, they're very light, and unfortunately it was only legislation that saw the end of the steam lorry in commercial use. The Sentinels were building steam lorries until the early 1950s, and the last ones were made for Argentina, with a couple made for domestic UK use. One of them, the National Coal Board, which was rebuilt as a diesel tipper not long into the 50s. But there you go, a glorious sight in the sunshine of those engines, not just the tractor, but the 3-road engines. There's Duke of York, got the bit between his teeth and slipping on that damp grass. Unfortunately, like I say, with the weather having been as it is, he's now needing a bit of help from Talisman, the grey second engine, to get him out of the mire. But there you go, working together, they come up the hill and all will be well. In the middle of the arena, demonstrating to us just how slow you can get a steamroller to go, is Ian Cooper taking his ease. You can see he's not even touching the regulator on that roller, he's just letting it get to where it wants to be up that hill. And that's a sign of a man who really knows the capability of his machine and his engine. He's comfortably leaving it to get on. Because with steamrolling, it's not about power, it's not about speed, it's about precision. And rolling to a line, or several lines, or up to a curve. And Ian is demonstrating quite how that was done. The steering on a steamroller is quite low geared, so you have to do a lot of turns, but it does enable you to have that precision of steering up to a curve. And it was once said that steamrollers were lazily steered by a dreamy old toilet, and really far from it. There's nothing dreamy about working a steamroller. There go the road engines past us.